It takes a lot to run a business these days, but you know this. It takes people, processes, assets, and technology. It takes an intelligent enterprise. From finance to supply chain, from product manufacturing to marketing and sales, around a single focus, the consumer. This is the power of the intelligent enterprise. Connected, integrated, optimized, and delightful to use. And that's where Rizing makes a difference. Thanks for joining our live stream today. We encourage you to leave questions and comments below and be a part of our live discussion. And now, let's welcome our panelists.
Hello everyone, I'm Craig Powers, the Managing Editor at Rizing, and today we have a panel of 5 of our leaders to discuss the messaging from SAP's reimagined virtual SAPPHIRE event this week. What has happened over the last 6 months, it has really changed the way we think about the intelligent enterprise, the way we think about our businesses. And at SAPPHIRE, CEO Christian Klein, SAP CEO Christian Klein, talked about this as a chance to set a new course. So I wanted to get straight into our panelists. And first, I'll introduce Martin Stenzig. He is our Chief Technology Officer at Rizing. He works across all of our lines of business, working with SAP's technological platform to keep us at the forefront in terms of our evolving services. Martin, how are you doing?
Good. How are you, Craig?
I'm great. So I really want you from the technology perspective, what were some of your top takeaways from SAPPHIRE this week?
Yeah, I think the message that I took out was mainly agility. Agility is important in so many ways this year. Yeah, agility as a new component in the business case that we're putting together for intelligent enterprise applications. So before, it was usually business process efficiencies that we would drive with going to S4, going to other systems. Today, we have a new component that we need to take into the equation, which is agility. What happens if we're getting shut down again? What happens if people need to work from home on a dime, with a 1 week or 2 week notice? How does it affect our business case for the intelligent enterprise? So I think S4 and the cloud solutions in general are a key ingredient to that, but we've never really considered that in the past. So that has clearly changed. What also has changed is the emphasis on the cloud in general. By putting stuff into the cloud, we're sort of relieving a lot of our internal IT organizations from going into the data center, having to interact with people, but we have the systems available and ready. Plus, with having the infrastructure to be agile, to develop new apps that we need on a moment's notice, to have real-time data analytics, not anymore the analytics we did 5-10 years ago where 10 people vanish in a broom closet, crunching data, and then out comes the report, but really real-time analytics where I'm going to a dashboard, I get my information that is based on the database and on the transactional information that I have right there. That is what we're getting out of it. SAP did a great job leading up to this. This is the year where all the investments that they have made, I think, have paid off because, people that have been there, that have adopted those agile mindsets, they will come out on top. People that have not adjusted yet, I think they are having more and more the value in the business case to justify why they should adopt, the intelligent enterprise as the business technology platform.
Well, yeah, the platform, you mentioned that, and specifically the SAP Cloud Platform, that I think that's a good time to bring in Jason Keeney, our Vice President of Product Sales at Rizing. Jason, nice to have you. I hope you're doing well. I think I'll just jump right in with you. From a product perspective, what did SAPPHIRE mean for you?
So from a product perspective, first of all, thanks for having me, Craig. Appreciate the invitation. So from a product perspective, what's exciting for me is the announcements around the SAP App Center. So specifically, SAP's been asking partners for a long, long time to build innovative and unique products, solutions that either integrate to SAP, enhance, or extend SAP's core products. Partners have been doing this for a long time. We've been doing this for a long time. And it's great because it's adding additional value to the core SAP product and filling white space where SAP said either they're not going to invest in a certain area, or no longer invest, or it's just not on their roadmap. So, now what SAP's done is they've provided this online marketplace they call the App Center, and it now gives the customer the ability to now search for these products, identify them, try them, discover them. Whereas in the past, it was a little tricky trying to navigate the waters. You'd have to reach out to different SAP folks, industry teams, etc. But now SAP has a coordinated effort to focus everyone into the SAP App Center. It's great. So it launched a couple of years ago, but in the last month, they've launched a brand new, entirely new experience with the App Center, and it's much improved. It's great. A lot of value from a customer perspective and a partner perspective. So for customers, really the difference that they'll see is it's all about the navigation. So the navigation is improved, cleaner look, smoother navigation. You can easily consume information. As you navigate into the solution pages, you can easily filter by, if you want to look at line of business. So if you're looking for a solution in HCM as an example, so you can look by success factors. Or if I want to hone in more specifically into success factors learning, I can toggle down to specific solution area or module, if you will. Looking for a certified product, I can toggle by that. So it's great from a navigation perspective and filtering perspective, and customers will see that it's easier to get to what they're looking for to fill their specific business need. From partner perspective, less obvious to customers, but it's a much more integrated experience as well. So we now have the ability, SAP is providing some analytics around number of clicks per solution page. So that's wonderful. So we can see who's engaging with which solutions, which products. We also navigate and manage our leads and opportunities there. We engage with SAP as those opportunities progress. From our perspective, we have 5 products on the SAP App Center today. We're working on adding 2 more of those. So we have 3 from the HCM line of business, 1 for consumer industries, and we'll have 2 for our EAM line of business real soon. And since it's launched, we've received about 40 leads through the App Center, about a third of those in 2020. So that's exciting for us for a couple of reasons. So one, it validates to us that our intellectual property that we've created, there's value, there's need in the marketplace for those particular products. But 2, it's also exciting that we get to engage with customers with whom we didn't always have relationships with or didn't have access to, frankly. So there's large global companies that are going to the App Center, searching for solutions, reaching out to us, and that's exciting to engage with them to help them solve their business challenges.
Yeah, it sounds like the re-platform has really opened up the ecosystem for customers to find partners and vice versa. One thing, you mentioned some of our products in HCM in particular, so I think it's a perfect time to bring in our HCM side of things here with Matt Davies, our president of Rizing's North America HCM line of business. Matt, hope you're doing well. It looks like
I'm very well, Craig. How are you? Thank you. Thanks for having me.
It looks like you're in the office today. You have a nice background there. That's good.
Thank you. Thank you.
So Matt, Jason was talking about some of our products. I know that at HCM we have some really nice products. Can you kind of talk about specifically how we've been looking at the current state of things with COVID, specifically with some of what we've been doing there?
Sure. I think for me, the biggest takeaway, and it resonated through many of the sessions, right? There's a strong focus on people at the moment, especially as we've been going through the pandemic. I think now more than ever, the role of HR and the technology that enables it is in the spotlight as customers rally to protect their most important asset, their people. And SAP SuccessFactors plays a very important role, not only from the perspective of keeping people safe, but also to ensuring business continuity. And one example of this stands out to me from one of our valued customers through this pandemic. We're actually working with a leading medical products company to implement core HR and payroll. And the project go live was right in the middle of the pandemic. So one of the things that the executive leadership and project teams noted was how active and engaged employees were around self-service. So within the first day of the system being live, there was a mass of employees updating their emergency contact information themselves, right? And employees were loving the fact that during such an uncertain time that they had the ability to make sure that their critical lines of communication remained open and accurate. And it really resonated with employees that the company cared about them and that this new technology in SAP SuccessFactors could make a meaningful improvement in their day-to-day lives. So one of the main themes from Sapphire was resiliency and innovation. And we are seeing that at our customers too. Innovation is at the forefront of Rizing, and we quickly rallied with our teams to see what we could do based on what we were hearing in our communities. And I thought it was interesting that Jürgen Muller in his session stated that 2/3 of all organizations say they fail to become insight-driven companies. And at Rizing, we want to help customers gain better insights out of their SAP solutions. So firstly, we were the first in the ecosystem to release a free Employee Central COVID-19 add-on configuration guide. This solution enabled our customers to track COVID-19 related information in their Employee Central system right there in SuccessFactors. Second, we enhanced our proprietary analytics product called Lyra to combine SuccessFactors employee data with Johns Hopkins COVID-19 infection data to create our employee well-being and risk management dashboard. So the organizations could perform risk assessments on their workforce in real time and enable them to make the best decision for when their employees could return to work and do employee population risk areas and update their business continuity plans. So that's been widely received in good light. And thirdly, we released a free configuration guide that creates sustainable talent pools for staffing. So with stay-at-home orders having dramatically impacted our customers' workplaces, valued workers may have been furloughed as businesses temporarily shut down and needed to reduce potentially payroll expenses. So we enabled a solution leveraging functionality in SAP SuccessFactors recruiting candidate relationship management. And this solution uses the candidate profile extension to capture more fields and more data on a candidate's profile that can be then used for job matching. So, for example, we may have a hospitality worker that's used to working as a server who was potentially furloughed. But as businesses evolved and new demands came to be, that person had a driver's license and a car. So maybe there was a good fit there for them to assist in food delivery, just as an example. So yeah, another major theme of Sapphire was agility, and I hope that this short overview illustrates how Rizing HCM sees this for ourselves and our customers, leveraging and extending SAP SuccessFactors to truly enable the intelligent enterprise. I think the role of HR has never been more important, and by utilizing SAP's best-of-breed technology, organizations can be ready to safeguard their employees and customers in these uncertain times.
Absolutely, and as you said, the people matter, and one industry that has had its own challenges during this time is consumer industries. That's why I'm going to bring in Brian Cederborg, our Senior Vice President, Head of Business Development for Consumer Industries. It's good to see you again, Brian.
Good to see you. Thanks, Craig. Thanks for having me with this. We get this all-star crew here. I feel very humbled to be numbered among this group here. So
yeah. Well, yeah, and obviously you a lot of these topics are top of mind for your customers. Talk about sort of SAP's messaging around industries this week.
Sure. I was particularly happy to see an increased focus on industries, the discussion during Sapphire. And I mean, for a few reasons. One is that it certainly brings the SAP messaging closer to the Rizing messaging. We certainly lead with industry. We believe in it. We are, we're industry people first and foremost. We're committed to the SAP technology stack, but really enabling industry capabilities on the SAP technology. And the reason for that is because that's the way our customers look at things. Our customers are trying to enable industry capabilities. They're not trying to, they don't participate in general industries. They participate in their specific industry. And they have their specific challenges for their industry. So it was really encouraging for me, certainly at least within the product teams, to see that renewed focus for industries. And I'm hopeful that that's gonna kind of represent a bit of a pivot back toward industry solutions. as many of us know, SAP was very strongly organized around industry solutions. I don't know, about 3 years ago, and there's been a bit of a loosening there. Definitely never a departure, but a bit of a loosening that's happened over the last few years. So I'm hopeful that this represents a bit of a swing back toward a strong focus on industry solutions.
Great. And another thing I know, I'm trying to take my eye off your cool Clay Thompson photo back there, but he's my favorite. But anyway, so the supply chain aspect of these things, obviously for your industry and then our other industries, did you hear good news about that?
I heard certainly more discussion around supply chain. I mean, SAP's always had a focus on supply chain. I mean, they've historically always been an ERP based company. There's certainly been a renewed discussion around that this year. We certainly heard that quite extensively at FCOM earlier this year, and there's been a lot more focus there, especially as it relates to Industry 4.0. I mean, you heard a lot of that messaging that came out this week. And again, I wouldn't say that's new for SAP. That's a little bit more of a double click on themes that have been discussed for 12, 18 months now. So this whole notion of intelligent technologies, leveraging the Industry 4.0 technologies like Internet of Things, of blockchain, the AI, machine learning, again, those intelligent technologies, that clearly is very important for SAP. I mean, the intelligent enterprise is obviously that's the headline for the SAP product suite. So a lot of messaging that happened, of course, around that, which is exciting for us again at Rizing, because in addition to our industry focus, I mean, really our bread and butter is within the supply chain. I mean, we are working with our customers to help them to be able to support their customers more effectively, and that's delivering products and services that their customers expect. So so definitely a lot more messaging was delivered on that this week.
Great, thanks, Brian. And next, tying into this industry conversation, obviously our enterprise asset management group has some very specific industries and heavy industry. So to represent them, I have Crawford Owens, our Senior Vice President and Global Head of Business Development for Rizing EAM. Crawford, welcome.
Good morning. How are you doing?
I'm well. So Crawford, I know you had some thoughts on kind of the industries within EAM, how this has impacted, how this pandemic situation has impacted EAMs, and how does that tie into what we saw at SAPPHIRE this week?
Absolutely, Craig. It actually ties into a comment that Martin made earlier, and that was around agility. So outside of just agility, the other thing we've seen is a theme through SAPPHIRE and throughout the global pandemic has been flexibility. We're seeing a lot of customers and clients that are having to rethink their business models and how they're interacting with their customers, their supply chain, to go back to what Brian just said, and really looking at the industries in a different way. Because make no qualms about it, we're in a completely different playing field than we were just 3 months ago. And with that, what we see is a flexibility in SAP and the ease of use of the new technologies that have been rolled out. We've had a lot of requests around customers around the analytics areas, particularly in the areas of employee health and safety and in real estate. Because as we look at the industry and how things are changing, we're also looking at how the workforce within those industries is also changing. We're seeing that groups are starting to radiate out. People are getting used to the remote work and the remote workforce. And of course, that means a different way that you look at those real estate assets and the way people go about doing their jobs every day. In addition to that, there's more stress on the assets that are out there. We're seeing the utility companies at large, coming to us and asking us, as well as other, large capital industries, on how can they make the equipment they have last longer. And that's always been an issue, but under this kind of stress, when the markets are down and you have to figure out how to stretch that dollar, it's ever more important on how we stretch those assets in the industries that we serve. So intelligent asset management is one of those areas that we've been able to put in front of the customers and demonstrate that where SAP allows that flexibility to look at that asset and how it radiates out through the business, how it impacts its employees, its vendors within the ecosystem of that industry, as well as demonstrate its capabilities in predictive models and to collect vendor information, all which is going to be very important to extend the life of those assets. And also around this global bug that we're all trying to work our way through right now, we're seeing even before this happened, even accounting rules in the world were changing before this happened. So there's things out there like FASB 842 that's been on the horizon since 2017 that's impacting how leases are being held. And so that's leased property, leased equipment, and that's really having businesses in the industries that we serve look at a different way of how they have to handle those assets on the books. Luckily, SAP has the solutions there for that. And we heard a little bit about what we're able to do in terms of the analytics area throughout Sapphire this week.
Great, thanks, Crawford. We look forward to getting into more of that a little bit when we get into this panel discussion. I do want to take a moment before we move on to kind of address the elephant in the room. Monday was pretty challenging for SAP for the launch of Sapphire. Obviously, there were some technical difficulties. I don't want to dive into it, but let's just remember the messaging before was we're all in this together. They had some challenges, but I think it was it showed the emphasis on being agile, SAP having to adapt and find new ways to share their content through Twitter and Periscope, LinkedIn, YouTube, things like that. So I think that ties into
and Craig, to that.
Yeah, go ahead.
If you don't mind me jumping in here, actually, Christian just mentioned in sort of a parallel Q&A that the big difference, I think, to other Sapphires was that they had a much bigger reach. So they had access to 200,000 people this year. That's up essentially a 5 times factor compared to what they're reaching with their in-person access. So it gives you an idea that obviously the demand is completely different. So the good news is that the message was heard by a lot of people. So they had, I think, a million hits, 200,000 people that they reached. So those are great numbers for SAP in general, even with the glitches that happened early on.
Yeah, absolutely. And again, they had to adapt. Obviously, the technology infrastructure that we have around the connection, Wi-Fi and the internet is pushed to the limit right now with everyone working remotely. But yeah, it's again, I want to just address it, but we can move on. And it kind of ties into a lot of the messaging of resiliency and just having those people in place to be able to move forward. One thing I want to bring back up, I know you touched on it, Brian, so I'm gonna put you on the hot seat again. Is this idea of an intelligent enterprise? I know you've written on it for our blog before, and you have thoughts on it. But when we're talking about the points that Matt brought up with resiliency, sustainability, and profitability, when you look at your industries and the consumer industries, how is being an intelligent enterprise, how does that help them adapt in these difficult times?
Sure. Well, the consumer industries, I mean, they're a few things about them. One is they offer essential services, and we brought it was on full display the last 12, 14 weeks. So they are offering an absolutely critical service for their customers, for us. So, I mean, you can kind of start there. I mean, having access to effective information to have effective decision making that affects people's lives. I mean, you can personalize it that way very, very easily. And I certainly myself, I mean, I spend a fair bit of time interacting with our customers, in some ways just thanking them for that service that they do provide for us. But that's what the technology offers. I mean, we're in this industry. We do what we do because we believe in it. Every one of us here, and we believe because we're making a difference in people's lives effectively. And we're bringing technology that's actually helping people make better decisions. That is, if, like in the case of food retail, like, actually bringing healthy food to people's homes. So, I mean, that's the first way I think about it. I mean, I really do humanize it in that way, and that's certainly what motivates me to do what I do, and why I'm so encouraged with what SAP's doing in the marketplace.
Great, and part of that resiliency is having staffing. And so, Matt, how does an industry like like a retail industry or a medical industry kind of deal with these staffing issues? How important does that HCM platform then become?
Oh, for sure, Craig. I think it's critical. Absolutely. So I think customers from an HCM perspective, right? They're looking. Their sole focus at the moment is looking after their employees. I would echo what Brian said about the importance of data to being able to make those decisions. They need that data to be able to keep their employees safe, to keep their customers safe, to be able to do their continuity planning. So I think that's very important. But also on the reskilling side as well, we're seeing quite a lot of that. So with workers being moving more remotely and organizations changing their business models, there's definitely a need, and we're seeing that in the marketplace for employees to reskill or to move into roles that they weren't in 3 months ago. So that's definitely something that we're seeing. And then also, in many instances, this is the first time that HR functions are working remotely. So a lot of organizations have just never experienced that before. So there was a need, and we've been there to help out, just even performing basic HR transactions, helping our customers do that, helping them work remotely. And I think that the benefits, going back to what you were saying earlier, the benefits of cloud technologies and products really become evident, in a time like this where everyone's working virtually. The other thing that I just wanted to mention, Jürgen Muller mentioned something in his sessions, that time to value is more important than ever, and I think that's very true, right? At the moment, we're seeing organizations, looking to get time to value as quick as possible. So shorter deployments, sort of going more with prepackaged solutions. Really, with the mantra of let's get live, and then we can iterate on that after the fact. I think we're seeing more of that, and that's certainly a trend that we think will continue.
Yeah, and to tie in on some of the things that Matt just pointed out, when we talk about the employee, you need the employees to interact with the assets, right? And so there's a lot of tracking, things around operator qualifications, and then let's not forget that employee injuries or illness actually impacts your ability to get the work done. And a lot of the work that we're talking about, whether it be on the retail side or it's a utility company or oil and gas company, these are the lifeblood of our communities. So it's more essential than ever to know the status of the employee, their qualifications, and the work they have to do and how that's impacting the business at large. And so we're seeing a lot of requests that are coming in from clients around the ability to have real-time analytics. So thank goodness SAP has a solution for that. And we've talked about it this week during SAPPHIRE. And that is the ability to actually take this information, utilize it in a way that's quickly to process, and then visual, because we are visual animals, right? So we take a lot of things in by sight. And it's a lot easier to dissect that information when you're able to visualize it and then get it back out to the masses so you can make good business decisions around it.
Yeah, and Craig, hey, to add on to what Matt and Crawford just mentioned, SAP just launched a couple of initiatives. It's partially around COVID, but tying into what Matt had mentioned around quick wins. So there's a campaign that SAP has called SAP Together. We've got this, and essentially it started with COVID and SAP and partners working together to collaborate to help customers get through this challenging time and continue the business continuity, as folks had mentioned. But SAP had launched some free software applications, for a period of time. Partners are doing the same thing. And now what partners and SAP are working on are additional initiatives, products, if you will, solution packages that are quick wins. So low cost, quick time to implement, quick time to value, to Matt's point. One of those that we've submitted for submission is built on one of our Lyra that's built our Lyra product. It's called Integrated Capacity Planning. And to what Crawford mentioned, it ties in the HCM data and EAM data so companies can better look at their capacity needs as well as their asset management demands, and basically have an overlay to marry those two together so they can have the right people with the right skill set in the right location at the right time.
Yeah, and maybe to just add to what the previous speaker said. Number one, Adair Fox-Martin just mentioned in the Q&A that SAP is delegating authority into the field to have a renewed discussion, especially with challenged customers, to talk about license agreements, the structure of it. So that's one. Number two is Christian in general, I think holistically sort of announced somewhat informally that they will take a fresh look at sort of how they price and how they make the licensing of SAP less complex. And then third, that's more on the Rizing topic of what Crawford and Matt said. Even though we are a consulting company, our first and foremost intent is always to get you as a customer to the business justification, to the business benefit. That sometimes is counterintuitive, it feels like, because obviously when we have consultants on site, that's revenue for us. But really, what we are aiming at first is getting you together with the SAP solution, the business benefits we set out to accomplish. And I think that is the core ingredient of what we're all about at Rizing. And I think that makes us very different to other consulting companies that literally just aim to place as many consultants as you can.
Well, one of the other things I noticed, Martin, was Amy Wilson, who's the SVP for Products for SuccessFactors. She talked about, which I thought were tying back to the intelligent enterprise. She talked about the expanded integration of the digital assistant, right, to perform HR and more function. And I think this is really an exciting area. And I think it's great to see more automation enabled by artificial intelligence and machine learning. And it also, Martin, ties into what we've been thinking about at Rizing too. Maybe you want to talk a little bit about that.
So just for everybody, what we have done at Rizing is taken those new technologies as part of my team and sort of taking them out for a spin. Intelligent robotics processing automation in the context of HCM, conversational AI, or in classic fashion, a bot that you can interact with that has access to the SuccessFactors information in the past and makes life for employees, but also the people, workers in the organization much more efficient. So those are the things that tie right into the message that SAP is presenting here at this Sapphire. So it's exciting to see that we're in lockstep with what SAP is doing.
Agreed.
Great. Yeah, that's great conversation, everyone. Yeah, that's obviously ties back in into the intelligent enterprise. I kind of wanted to touch back to this idea of industry 4.0 that SAP, that was one of their emphasis, and Brian, you touched on it already with the increased emphasis on industry. What does that mean for customers if SAP is talking about more emphasis on industries? For Brian,
yeah. Well, I mean, quite simply, the way I would phrase it is it's bringing solutions that are more relevant to the capabilities that they're trying to enable. That's the simple way I would address it. So like I said, it's exciting to hear SAP use that language again, especially in the products space. I mean, it was quite clear, at least to me, as I was watching the sessions this week, that the product industry solutions are going to start taking more of a focus. And like I said, that's something that we've certainly known at Rizing. We hear it quite clearly from our customers. I mean, it's kind of building a little bit on some of the things that Martin and Jason were saying. It's one of the reasons why we brought the lifecycle pricing application to market, which is in the App Center right now. It is one of the most significant industry solutions we believe, and SAP believes, that are on the market today, and one of the most significant innovations on the SAP Cloud Platform. And actually, in many ways, that's really showing the power of the SAP Cloud Platform. I mean, Martin certainly touched on it. There's been a lot of focus on that this week, but it's the SAP spending the innovation, the dollars to invest in that platform, I mean, it's really a smart move from our point of view. The ability to bring innovation to market faster is there with the cloud platform. That's something that's going to be very important to our customers as they're trying to innovate in their markets.
Craig, maybe to elaborate on that, from an industry, I think what was an exciting announcement this week, or that I saw, was more focused on the industry cloud. So SAP is basically taking industry-specific content, as they shift more solutions to the cloud. If I'm a customer that's focused in utilities, I can now purchase a utilities-specific industry cloud solution that's targeted to my business processes. Same for all the other industries as well. So they're taking a real, strong look at the industries from an ERP cloud perspective and making those available by industry. And I think that's pretty exciting for customers.
So on the other pieces that I think are interesting for us is the announcement with Honeywell as a partner in the real estate piece. Mm-hmm. So we've talked about sensor integration for Crawford, 10 years now. So yeah, we've already been there. The interesting thing, what you have seen with SAP this week, is that they turned this term of Industry 4.0 into Industry 4.now, which I think is just sort of putting an emphasis on, hey, you don't have to wait anymore. We're already there. And that's really what the cloud platform, but also SAP solution allow you to do. There's really no need to have sort of the production systems over here and SAP over there. You can tie them together. And we've done that. We've proven it over and over again. How do we take, production information and calculating operational efficiency KPIs real time? How do we take real-time weather station information, feeding them into an asset management model for utilities to prevent wildfires? Those are the concepts that, we want to work more with. And I think what the challenge we have holistically within the SAP ecosystem, but within technology, is that the technology has advanced so quickly, so rapidly over the past few years that, executives and leaderships still trying to catch up in order to understand what's even possible. What should I adopt? What are the investments I should make that bring back the benefits that I'm looking for? But sometimes we sort of have to sit down, executives on the other side of the table, and saying, well, wait a second. Mm-hmm. You're aiming for 2000. We're in 2020. You should, this is what's possible today. And because you are so busy with your operational day-to-day activities, you haven't really caught up, or you don't even know what's possible. But that's sort of what this Industry 4.now, what I read in the Industry 4.now announcement from SAP, to say, technology-wise, we're already there. Whenever you are ready, we can jump with you. And all this agility talk is just sort of facilitating the acceleration, the importance of, hey, let's get the middleman out. Let's not have one system over here, one system over there. Let's get them all talking to each other and have real-time visibility into our data, so we can manage against that. And we are quicker, and we're not making business decisions on data that is 20 days old, which, I mean, all around the table, if I look at their faces, I think we've all been there. We've all seen it. Right. We need to stop that. So.
And the clients are demanding it. They're asking for it because, again, the world as we know it has changed quite a bit. The models are changing daily, as people try to figure out how they're going to dig out. The competitive market is different now. So things have to be more agile. They have to be more flexible. They have to think about not the 20th century, but the 21st century where we are now and beyond, because that's where we are now. And people are starting to get it. It may have taken a few months sitting at home and looking at the four walls for it to sink in, but they're starting to get it.
Great. And the four walls, that was some great talk on Industry 4.0. Something that, SAP still, hanging over. SAP did, hanging over is not a great way to put it, but there's obviously this Qualtrics acquisition's now, I think, 2 years old. So it's really kind of making its way into the SAP product stack. Matt, I'd love you to talk about that. Obviously, we're dipping our toes in the Qualtrics pool. What did you hear about Qualtrics this week, and how does Qualtrics really play a role in the SAP stack overall?
Yeah, I think employee experience continues to be a theme I think it's going to continue to be more integrated into SAP's product suite. And if you watch some of the sessions from Ryan Smith, the CEO of Qualtrics and a co-founder, he's very passionate about the employee experience. And obviously, when we talk to customers, they are as well. So I think it's a key topic for SAP these days, and it's going to continue to be. And at Rizing, how we saw that, we're seeing that with our customers too. So just recently we announced that we created an employee experience insights practice. So we launched a new solution designed to capture data from business processes and apply it to organizational change. Right. So customers are saying that what's important to them is to really identify the moments that matter. And Ryan talks about this quite a lot in his sessions in an employee's life cycle, right? And enable stakeholders to take real-time, in-the-moment actions to ensure employees have the best journey they can, right? So, and that doesn't just mean, that means everywhere from the recruiting process to the onboarding process, to the first day, to the first 30 days, when they receive some good recognition or feedback, when they accomplish some learning. There's lots of moments that can be mapped out where you're using the benefits of Qualtrics, where you can actually take actionable actions to really keep that engagement high with your workforce. So we've designed a solution that combines SuccessFactors operational data with Qualtrics experience information to help companies improve their business performance. The result is a fully integrated approach to managing and improving human performance. So we're excited about Qualtrics, and I think it's definitely a hot area for SAP, and something that Rizing has a strategic focus on moving forward.
And I think, Craig, what you will find is, and it was funny enough, it came up as one of the questions in the Q&A as well. I think people feel like, last year it was sort of the hype topic, experience management. And this year, it was a track, but it wasn't pointed out. And the answer that the board gave, I think, was pretty telling. Is it's a new normal. It's just getting baked into the standard product offering. So before, we've never had the intelligence without the experience. Now intelligence and experience are one. You can't get away with just having sort of KPIs that are driven based on hard values, but you also have to take the emotions into account and make that part of the overall KPI. So that's one. And it's sort of the same thing that we're seeing with artificial intelligence. Everybody talks about artificial intelligence. These days, it's sort of, SAP has put 200 enablements within their standard product offerings that are all sort of machine learning related. It's not being broadcasted as, okay, we're doing artificial intelligence. It's sort of, there are additional functionalities now in the standard product that are enabled by experience management, machine learning, et cetera, et cetera. But it all goes into this category of overall product integration that our customers are asking SAP for. SAP customers, as we all know, want to have not anymore these island solutions through acquisitions, but they want to go back to the SAP that was strong, when if I look around the table, when all of us got into it, which is sort of the fully integrated system that they don't have to worry about how information gets from A to B and B to A. We want to have that integrated thing back while maintaining the cloud capabilities, the loosely coupledness. But for the end user, it shouldn't be, 3 different user interfaces, 3 different starting points, 4 different dashboards, but one. And SAP, I think, is working hard right now to sort of make that real and go back to that. And I think we've seen and heard it this week at SAPPHIRE, but also before in announcements and chats that we visited.
And I think as well, during the pandemic, the experience management folks talk about what they call the experience gap. And I think if you think about that tangibly, it's important, right? Because obviously management has a certain perception of how their employees are being supported and how they're feeling about working remotely. But I think it's important to actually measure that and validate that's true, particularly in times when organizations are not able to see their workforce face to face. It becomes even more relevant.
Absolutely. That great points, Martin and Matt, on those on Qualtrics and experience management. That's a great point. It's just going to be something that's integrated in and something maybe our customers won't even think about going forward. It'll just be something that happens. I wanted to move towards wrapping it up here. I think we've already gone way longer than we thought we would, but you guys have had some great conversation. I'll point to you, Crawford. Obviously we're coming through this this pandemic, and it's quite a unique time. But there are we've had a lot of learnings from our businesses with SAP's topics of resiliency and continuity. What have we learned this week from SAP, and what have we learned overall in the last 6 months about how businesses should be moving forward?
That's a good question, Craig. So I think what we've learned is that SAP has a veritable tool set of options of how to help businesses and shape the new models of business that they're moving towards. What we learned over the last 6 months is that things can change quite drastically with very short notice. I think everyone's realized that now. So those that didn't read the book, Who Moved My Cheese, back in the day, they might want to pick that up and read a copy. Shameless plug there for somebody. But you really want to look at it from a standpoint of there are things that are moving, constantly going to be moving, and now competition is different than what it was before. And what we saw were the groups that had a more agile and flexible business model, that had already planned for things to happen in the marketplace that were unforeseen. They actually weathered the storm pretty well. If you look at those that had strong supply chains, you looked at those that were used to remote work, and let's face it, I saw in the last few months a lot of places that had drive up food service or curbside takeout. They didn't miss a beat during this. Actually, they made even more money than ever. I think there was a big thing in Wall Street Journal about Wingstop, if you ever heard of that business, and how much money they made over the last several months, because their entire business model was set up and supply chain was set up for exactly the circumstance we found ourselves in the last few months. So I think the message is be agile, be flexible, know that there's tools out there in the SAP marketplace that can assist in that being that agility and that flexibility, and that there are people out in the partner ecosphere like ourselves that can actually help people to implement those tools and help them develop the strategies and the business processes to support.
Well, that was great, Crawford. I think that's a perfect place to wrap it up. That's excellent points. Be flexible, be agile, and then you'll be ready to weather these storms. I want to thank all five of you. It's been great having you on. Like I said, this has been a great conversation. We're going to try to make you do this again. It was too good. So that's what you get for doing things well. People just ask you to do stuff again. But yeah, so I'll just wrap it up here by saying thank you everyone for watching. And I hope you were able to watch a lot of the SAPPHIRE stuff this week. If not, I know they have it all on demand. Like Martin has alluded to, there's a executive Q&A going on. You'll be able to watch that on demand as well, so you'll be able to catch some of the things that he's been referencing. But again, we'll be back. You follow our blog, we'll have more coverage of SAPPHIRE. And again, thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time.
Great.
Thank you. Everybody be safe.